If the conflict lasts days or weeks, 76% approval.
Massive.
Now, let's be clear. That has been the stated goal of this administration. If they don't achieve that goal, it means there's a miscalculation. And I would say that was a strategic mistake. But they've been pretty clear that their goal is for this to be swift and it's to be short. Historically, as opposed to Iraq, when that is the case, campaigns militarily are unbelievably popular. Now, as far as Iran, a couple things. First off, it's time dependent as far as people's support for military action. Not everything needs to be compared to Iraq because it's very often the least legitimate comparison. But I will stake my claim right here, 3 months. Okay, 3 months. At 3 months in of this war, if things have not been scaled back, the primary military operations, you'll always have some small units, then guess what? The people saying, this is why we'll lose the midterms. Okay, it doesn't mean that I think the guy should be impeached, but I will grant that to you. I don't think this is going to go beyond 3 months. I think it's going to be short. I think it's going to be effective. And I really hope for the sake of the country that I'm right. Because even though that shouldn't be the required timeline, it is as far as public support as we go into midterms. 3 months. You guys let me know if that's reasonable. You can comment below. The widespread narrative out there right now, if you believe this, you've been propagandized a little bit. This war is going to sink President Trump. And I don't even want to say war. This military action intervention is going to sink President Trump. It is a foregone conclusion. That's what you're told.
Bush had his Iraq war. Trump now has his Iran war.
Donald Trump's war with Iran is already wildly unpopular with the American people.
And Republicans are already facing a very difficult election cycle, and now it seems like, at least in the short term, they're all going to be defending something that is unpopular and not really fully understood by the American public.
When Trump made a promise, no more foreign entanglements, J.D. Vance ran on this. Trump's not going to get into war specifically on Iran, in fact. Like, oh, no, we're going to be great negotiators. Again, goes to the heart of a promise he made to his people.
No, that's not true. No. That's not true. And they just throw out this term forever wars, hoping that you don't do a little bit of fact checking. Donald Trump, we ran that video yesterday, 1980, talked about intervention with Iran. Reiterated it 2004, 2008. They try and pull a bait and switch and go, he was saying we'd be great negotiators. Let me ask you this. Can you negotiate with psychopaths if you are not willing to go to use of force? How do you enforce it at a certain point when you're dealing with lunatics? So part of the negotiation is this option has to be on the table. Now,
how is this not negotiation also?
Right.
I mean, they're still going to have a regime. If they still have their own government, they're still governing it's still Iran, then, I mean, this is a negotiation. Hey, we killed the other guy that was in charge. Now you're in charge. Do what we say. Or.
Yeah. Well, we just keep killing their guys. So that's the most fun part. It's like,
not for them.
We present to you the newest and he's gone. All right. Next one. So generally, I will tell you this. Americans, they're split. They're not thrilled about it. But, and I would say this to those on the right who are doom and gloom, overall, it's 44%. Both Republicans, it's 85%. Democrats, 10%. That's what throws it off. So if you are a conservative, if you are a nationalist, if you are a Trump voter, just know that you are out of step with 85% of the voting base with President Trump. And you are in line with Ro Khanna and Elizabeth Warren and the left. It doesn't mean that the left is always wrong about everything. It just means that that's who you've decided to link arms with. I want to be really clear about that. So examine it pretty thoroughly, because you do have to ask, why? Where else has the left been right? Where they are in tremendous support or disapproval of a given policy that you would say, yeah, that makes sense. Abortion, LGBTQ, ICE, the border, taxes, Second Amendment, First Amendment. Name me one other issue where you would have 90 to 80% of Democrats in support or against, where you would be in line with them. I can't think of one. And I'm not saying that that means or it determines what is right. I do think it's a pretty important indicator. Here's the thing that people aren't telling you. And this matters because we've had a lot of, we've been involved with a lot of military interventions that aren't just Iraq. The polls change dramatically. The support changes dramatically when you take this poll, when the survey takes into account duration of conflict.
They don't necessarily think this is going to be a short conflict. Look at this. A lot of people think it might take months. Some people think it might take years, and there are a lot who are not sure. Now, the reason that is important is if you think it's going to be a long conflict, months, even years, look at how the numbers tilt toward disapproval of it overall.
They just skim past that. No, but hold on a second. Look at approval. If the conflict lasts days or weeks, 76% approval.
Massive.
Now, let's be clear. That has been the stated goal of this administration. If they don't achieve that goal, it means there's a miscalculation. And I would say that was a strategic mistake. But they've been pretty clear that their goal is for this to be swift and it's to be short. Historically, as opposed to Iraq, when that is the case, campaigns militarily are unbelievably popular. As a matter of fact, you seldom find this kind of unifying data anywhere else. Let me give you some examples. Grenada, 63%, it was 51 days. Panama, 77% support, it was 55 days. Desert Storm, 77% support, 42 days. The Yugoslavia bombing, 62%, it was 78 days. And just so you know, while Iraq was going on, in the early days, it had 71% approval while people were under the impression that it would be short, like those many other examples that I listed.
Right.
Not all of them are Iraq. Iraq is kind of an outlier, just like Vietnam, which is why it's often a study. It's something that you separate. It's an outlier.
Yeah. By the way, one quick thing about all of those, the media was reporting those patriotically, not positively, patriotically.
Right.
American interest. They were actually being honest about their reporting, calling balls and strikes to a much larger degree than we see today.
Right.
It's very obvious what the media is saying today, just to damage Donald Trump.
You could even look at the first military action in Iran.
Yeah.
People telling you World War III was getting overwhelming support when people saw what was accomplished. You can look at what happened in Venezuela. These things do matter when people are trying to tell you all is lost, it's all done for, because it's another never-ending war. The strongest evidence that we have, nothing is a guarantee, is that this will not be a very long-term war. And I will tell you, I would not support a long-term war. If it looks like Venezuela, if it looks like the first uranium enrichment facility strike in Iran, if it looks like, has this been called, is it Operation Fury?
Epic Fury.
Epic Fury. That kind of tells you, Epic Fury means hellfire, one big shot. If it looks like that, I'm going to trust the people who I'm in line with 90% of the time, as opposed to being in line with 90% of Democrats. That is the deduction that I kind of have to make because there is some incomplete information out there. We don't know how long this is going to go on. But in the interim, as long as this is days and weeks, what's the downside to being in line with the general American public and to not giving the left fodder? Because if you give them any ammo, guess what? They're going to load their coffers and they're going to save them for a rainy day and use that ammo on LGBTQ, on Second Amendment rights, to strip you of everything. Were you about to say something?
Yeah, when did we start putting expiration dates on wars? You see what I'm saying? How about growing up, America? It's a very fluid situation, as they say.
Right.
And in the end, it's good for you, unless you don't believe that. So what do you give a shit if it takes 6 weeks or 6 months?
Yeah.
And you go, well, Trump promised. Yeah, he has to, because you guys are babies. You want, seriously, American public, you're like fifth graders. You want everything tied up in a bow, just like when you watch Law and Order. They solve the crime in an hour.
It's always the white guy.
Nice.
Of course, it's fucking Wolf, Dick Wolf.
Yeah.
Propaganda. Anyways, but you get my point. Grow up.
I do.
You want everything with a bow on it, and you people on the right, are you shitting me? This guy hasn't done enough in the last year for you to back him to the hilt. He's taken a bullet in the face and had his life threatened how many times? Give him a little slack.
Yeah.
They won't because of Israel.
Yeah,
That's a really
but
good
here's
point.
my Israel take on that. Did it ever? I love this whole thing that Bibi's playing Trump.
He's cooking.
Bibi's playing Trump like a violin. You ever think that maybe our long-term interests intersect and we're getting stuff out of it working with Israel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, if Israel wasn't even in it, the Iranians would still be maniacs and threaten to kill us.
Yeah.
Because the Islamic, they want to take over the world. That's their long-term goal. Right. Right?
Yeah.
So even if Israel wasn't there, we're going to have to deal with them at some time.
Mm-hmm.
So why not deal with them when you have somebody on your side like Israel for now?
Yeah.
And then if Israel, it turns out that they were trying to f us, we take care of them.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
I heard an interesting theory.
You just did. That's from me. I didn't read it. I didn't fucking get it off a website.
And it's very in line with what we were talking about yesterday. I said, it's not the Jews have an interest. The myth out there is only the Jews have an interest. I go, since when? Since when?
Right.
Since when do only the Jews?
Right.
That's the And I don't think we should be doing Israel's bidding. I completely agree with you.
I agree with that, too.
At this point in time,
But right
there's no
now-
evidence to suggest we are.
That's how.
Yeah. No, it's a bang on. We're going to clip that. That was
Please,
that was
maybe I'll put it on my show.
absolutely.
Should,
yes.
yeah.
Sorry, Josh. What were we going to say?
Oh, the interesting theory I heard was that there's a possibility that Trump knew that Netanyahu was planning to possibly send a nuke towards Iran.
That's right.
And the action of, hey, let's do this together, and no, don't do that. It might have been something that saved, a real nuclear fallout or war between Israel and other people.
I want to have this conversation with you. We'll take it during chat. Do you accept? I do believe in transparency with the administration as far as, $500 billion a year in fraud, illegal immigration, SNAP, EBT, Social Security. But I do accept that militarily there will be information that cannot be given to me.
That's right.
Do you agree with that? Or do you think that makes someone a lackey or a patsy?
Or a bootlicker? No, I don't think so.
That's what you have a lot of people saying.
That's a good point.
I do accept that. And you can go back to me in 2009 saying that. That's not new.
Yeah, some military operations, the guy who works at Lowe's doesn't need to know.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, just let me know if I need a 4x4 or a 2x4.
Yeah.
Like, what do I need to build a porch?
Yeah. Let's get Ilhan Omar's thoughts on this.
No.
She'd just be calling her brother, get out now.
She's still in the country.
I can't believe that. Yeah.
I'm going to run into
So
her to
here's the best
smoothie.
information that we do have. And this administration has been, I will say, in communicating on this war, far better. Certainly Marco Rubio, the White House comms team didn't do well in how they clipped it.
Yeah.
And the Secretary of War, I keep wanting to say Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. Hey, one other thing too. You notice no one's calling him a Fox News morning host anymore? You know why? Because he's really good at killing people.
Yeah.
He's an artist. Some paint with watercolors, pastels. His is death.
Yeah, where's where's his experience? He doesn't
the
have any
Picasso of
experience.
death.
After watching him, I wouldn't get in a fight with Steve Ducey.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah. You decide to
I
screw
wouldn't want
around,
to touch that guy either.
You don't know
you
who
find
these
out
Fox people-
you look like a Jackson Pollock painting by the end of it. That's Pete Hegseth. No one's calling him Fox News morning host anymore.
No.
But they move the goalposts and so many people go squirrel and you chase it around. So the best indicator we have as to the plans of this war, to which missions are we tethered? This Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, has made it pretty damn clear. Here's an update that if we are all American, look, wherever you line up on the action taking place, these are tidings of great joy.
I liken Iran's predicament to a football team who scripted the first 20 plays of a game. The team knew what plays to run because their first few drives were scripted. But now that the game has started and the blitz is on, they don't know what plays to call, let alone how to get in the huddle and call those plays. Iran's senior leaders are dead. The so-called governing council that might have selected a successor, dead, missing, or cowering in bunkers, too terrified to even occupy the same room. Senior generals, mid-level officers, enlisted ranks, they can't talk or communicate, let alone mount a coordinated and sustained offensive. That's not great for morale. The Iranian Air Force is no more, built for 1996, destroyed in 2026. The Iranian Navy rests at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. Combat ineffective, decimated, destroyed, defeated, pick your adjective.
I love it.
And then he went on to, look, there are some pretty strong indicators. Some would call them positive trends. We have complete and total control of the skies in Iran. He detailed how that came to be.
In a few days, in under a week, the two most powerful air forces in the world will have complete control of Iranian skies, uncontested airspace. I hope all the folks watching understand what uncontested airspace and complete control means. It means we will fly all day, all night, day and night, finding, fixing, and finishing the missiles and defense industrial base of the Iranian military, finding and fixing their leaders and their military leaders. Looking up and seeing only U.S. and Israeli air power every minute of every day until we decide it's over. And Iran will be able to do nothing about it.
And I should also mention, like in many wars, they're also dropping propaganda leaflets. There you go.
Oh, well, there's some positive news.
Yeah, some positive.
And for those who don't know, finding and fixing was the thing this morning. Fixing means stopping their maneuvers.
Yes.
It means that they are unable to move. They are in place. They're unable to attack, unable to move. So if you don't know what that meant,
Yeah, not
now
like
you do.
repairing them.
This is also why this this is something too that's important. If you believe that there's any type of threat that the United States faces, okay, the language that in a regime like the Islamic Republic, they only speak one: power. These people are willing to die, right? They're suicidal maniacs. They're not willing to be embarrassed. That's a far scarier prospect to them. So mocking them mercilessly and talking about how impotent and powerless they are, that is important. And there are more numbers, by the way. Check the references. Link in the description as we do every show. Let's look at their ballistic missile launch rate. On Saturday, it was 350. Sunday, 175. Monday, about 120. Tuesday, 50. Ooh. Some would say that's a consistent trend. Drones are down about 73%.
They should go to hims.com.
Yeah, exactly. Someone get some blue juice.
Maybe some goats.
Yeah. Well, that's well,
The local flair.
Jeez, Gerald, that's inappropriate.
That is inappropriate.
These are people at war.
You have a pork of goat. It's great.
Descriptive. I don't know.
Now, look, that's not to say, and this is the thing too, where people will say, of course, we don't want boots on the ground. We don't want Americans to die. No one wants Americans to die. And by the way, I do believe that even when Barack Obama had to make this, I think he was the worst president possibly ever. I don't think that he wanted Americans to die when he took military action. I don't think that any commander-in-chief wants that. But I will say there has been tremendous care taken with this administration to mitigate loss of life in a way that is unprecedented. It doesn't mean that those who have lost their life, I'm not going to do what Megyn Kelly or what that military wife did and say that their lives were lost in vain or in service of Israel. We've lost 6 service members as of the time of this broadcast, including, and I want to make sure I get their names right, Sergeant First Class Nicole M. Amore from Minnesota, Sergeant First Class Noah L. Tegens of Nebraska, Sergeant Declan Cody of Iowa, Captain Cody A. Cork of Florida. 2 have not been named as of the showtime. We don't want to leave anyone out. Thank you for your service. And I have no idea if these people supported this action. Stats would probably say that they did. I have no idea how they voted.
Stats would probably say that they supported their duty.
Yes.
Yes.
They might not support every war. You don't know. We don't know everything.
No, we don't know everything.
Especially them. They're doing it before we even find out about it. They support what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you take your oath, you should be aware things are going to come up that
Yep.
you can't control, but you're in a hierarchy and you.
Yeah.
And most of them mean it.
Right?
Yep. I don't care how they
That's right.
voted.
That's
I don't
right.
care what their views were. They gave, I think we should all be able, if we want to find common ground, they gave their life in their duty to this country. That's any war. That's any military conflict, whether I agree with it or not. You want to get me on the, these troops are losing their lives meaninglessly bandwagon? That's never going to happen. If that convinces you that I'm a paid shill for Israel and you think I'm being paid $7,000 to honor the fallen, whatever. It's just not going to be a talking point here. I think we should stop funding Israel in the way that we do. I think that Israel should fight their own wars, and I think that Iran is run by lunatics and a threat to the Western world. Why? Because they said so. So, again, going back to, for me, because I understand where you guys are coming from, and I understand that people, for some reason, people think everything is bleak, and it's not. 3 months. Let's come back after 3 months. After 3 months and see where we are. Let's see if this escalates. Let's see if it's an outlier like Iraq, or if it's in line with the other conflicts that we discussed, like Grenada, like Panama, like Desert Storm. After 3 months, then we can, and that'd be a drop in the bucket, by the way, as far as when we're talking about spending. When people say, why can't we do this here? And I get it. We need to fix things here at home. I think Donald Trump's doing a much better job than most, than anyone could.
Yeah.
Certainly as far as deportations, secured border, when we're looking at actually having requirements, work requirements for social services, when we're actually getting people to pay their fair share in NATO. I think there's a lot of good freedom of speech. 2 genders, that's a big change.
Yeah.
As far as military, let's give it 3 months and let's come back. And the reason that I'm putting, I agree with Nick, you shouldn't put a timeline on it, but I'm putting myself on the hook because the people telling you that all is lost and that you shouldn't show up for midterms and that you should impeach Donald Trump, they hold themselves to no accountability.
That's right.
So I had to pick something arbitrary. You can hold me to it. hey, if you're still watching this, you may be one of the 6 million or so subscribers on YouTube who is, for one reason or another, I don't understand it, still here. So back in the day, I would say click one of these videos and subscribe, but really just head on over to my channel on Rumble. Follow me there. I'm live 5 days a week, 11 a.m. Eastern, and I actually say the things that I mean to say. On YouTube, it's everyone here is kind of neutered, really, and there's just a general lack of testicular energy, but I mean that in the heterosexual way. Mostly.